Hi everyone, welcome back to another Pokemon trading card game video. And today you will see, thankfully, something much different from normal. Instead of my Darkrai deck against someone else's deck, here we'll see someone else's own deck against their own Darkrai deck. Yeah. Anyway, so basically what we ended up doing here is on the right is me and on the left is Michael, who I have featured in many other videos before this. One of my most popular videos on my channel is the Yveltal versus Darkrai video, which was made basically right when XY first came out, so Yveltal was first getting into play. And what I asked him on this particular day that I recorded was if it would be okay if I borrowed one of his decks and played against another one of his decks. Basically because I only really have one of my own, and he had several, so I was just asking if it was okay if I did that to feature different ones. He said, yeah, that's perfectly okay, maybe we could do this a whole lot more in the future. Anyway, so I ended up choosing what I thought a lot of you would appreciate, a Charizard deck. And I have no idea what's in his deck list. That's why you see me looking at the cards in there even after I had already table shuffled. And I was pointing out there a little while ago, he had a Shadowless Fire Energy there. And I was just saying, hey, this is Shadowless. And he said, yeah, he has a lot of those. In fact, the more I played with his decks on this day, the more I realized, hey, that's basically all he uses. It's really hard to tell if an energy from base set is Shadowless or not. The only real way to tell is to check the copyright date. If it has an extra 99 in there, then it's Shadowless. And right there we just had our flip, cut each other's decks, and we're about to draw our cards. And I'm really excited to play Charizard deck. I've never played Charizard before, I only know how it works. Let's see, he started out with nothing, and I started out with a lone Charizard, so I'm laying out my prizes there as he reshuffles. And the way the rules work now is you cannot draw immediately after your opponent mulligans. You need to wait until he draws a basic, or he or she draws a basic, and then you get to draw the cards equal to the number of times that they did not draw a basic. So what most players do to keep track is they just put a die on top of their deck. So right there, it's a little out of frame, but there is a die with the number 1 on top of my deck as I'm waiting for Michael to draw a basic. And he's just shuffling a little more. We're just talking about random stuff, and I'm going to cut it again. And here's the way Charizard works. This is basically the first time we've ever had a truly playable Charizard in ever. So he draws no basics again, so I just moved that die to a 2 now, even though you can't see it, it is a 2. Anyway, so, but yeah, we have a Charizard that is able to potentially attack for 170 turn 1, which is incredible and very unlikely, but it is possible. So he finally got 2 basics there, both of them Yveltal EX, and he's going to draw out his prizes, and it looks like he's going to go first. And I apologize for the glare here. That is a horrible glare. As I've said many times in previous videos, I really cannot control the lighting or anything. Usually what happens is I just set up the camera and go with it. I try not to look at the camera just so that I don't see my opponent's hand or anything like that. But anyway, we saw an Ultra Ball there, getting rid of another Ultra Ball and a Darkness Energy. Really horrible that he has to get rid of an Ultra Ball that early on, 2 Ultra Balls, but he does want the Darkness Energies in the discard pile. That's basically the whole setup of Dark-type decks. And like I said, even though you can't see it, that is an Yveltal EX on top. And it looks like his earlier 2 mulligans didn't matter because he played that in, and I'm down to 6 cards in my hand as opposed to 8 that I would have had beforehand. So we're just going to shuffle, and starting out with Charizard is really good for me, but it's also really bad because I don't have anything to fall back on in case I get in trouble. So if he can get a lot of stuff here that would just shut me down and let him win really quick. Let's see what he has in his hand. He has, well, he's going to bench that Trubbish. Even though Charizard doesn't use abilities, there might be something in my deck that does. And since he built this deck, he knows there is. So, he just ended his turn right there. So I used Fiery Torch, discarded a Fire Energy, and drew 2 cards. I got a Muscle Band and a Hypnotoxic Laser, which I'm going to use. And it's a heads. That doesn't really matter because he has a Keldeo on the bench, but every tiny bit of damage might come into play a little later. Oh, and he just moved that out of the glare. Perfect. So, looks like I'm going to computer search here, getting rid of another Fiery Torch and a Ultra Ball. And I have a Full Art Mewtwo EX on the bench. And apparently people are running Mewtwo EX a whole lot more now than they were a few months ago. You know, when Mewtwo first came out, everyone was running it. And then when Darkrai came out, people were just teching it into Darkrai decks. And now people are really just using it a whole lot more. Basically, it's a really good counter to a whole lot of stuff. Yveltal is not resistant to it, so it's a good counter to Yveltal that you can just tech into any deck. It's basically an alternate version of Raichu. You don't need as many cards to set it up, but it still has a lot of cons to it. Like, it is an EX, so if it's knocked out, your opponent takes 2 prizes instead of just 1. But it is a basic, so you don't need to waste a turn evolving it. There are pros and cons to it, and it's not just an Yveltal counter, of course. It can be used in just about any kind of situation, but the point is, there is a Mewtwo in this deck. So then I played an in of my own. I believe I got that with computer search. I didn't really get a good look, though. He got so many energies off of that in. And I, on the other hand, I have, well, not what I wanted. I was really hoping to hit a double colorless energy there, but I didn't, so I'm just going to have to attach for turn and pass. And he flipped heads on sleep, not that it mattered, and he takes 1 for poison, so... And then I think he just drew that Verbank City Gym. So he's hurting himself, but he just attached a Floatstone to Keldeo so he can rush in and retreat to get out of the poison. He touched a double colorless energy to Yveltal and played Professor Juniper, discarded his hand, and from his hand a whole lot of darkness energy, and again, that's exactly what you want to see in there. He plays a laser of his own, does not put me to sleep, but I am poisoned, and that poison is going to rack up a lot in between turns. There's a Muscle Band on his active Yveltal EX, that's going to add even more damage. He's going to rush in and retreat the Keldeo, and somebody pointed this out in one of my other videos, where I played the Keldeo Blastoise deck, where I said Keldeo rushed in and retreated. That was not the case. It was a double rush in, so I apologize for that while I'm thinking about it. So he does Y Cyclone for 110, and I take another 30 in between turns for poison. I'm up to 140 damage. I play a laser of my own just to add more damage to the board. I'm going to Ultra Ball, away a Fire Energy, and an in. I've got to get something else out here. I'm probably going to go for another Charizard EX, but right now I'm just looking to see what he has in his deck, because this is his deck, not mine. He made it. He knows what's in there. I don't. I'm just looking to see what's in there. For example, you see that Reshiram EX. So I just need to take a look and see what all's in there. I'm thinking of getting that, but I could get another Charizard. I could go after a Litleo. But in the end, I think I'm just going to go for Druddigon. Because if I'm knocked out by an attack, then I can just revenge for a good 90 damage. But, you know, maybe that's not the best card to go after, but I decided it was probably the safest. I just need something else in play that I can fall back on if need be. So Charizard has 180 HP altogether. That makes it a little more of a nuisance to knock out, because usually with a Yveltal, you can just use Y Cyclone and a laser and a Muscle Band, and that puts 140 on a Pokemon, and then when they going back into your turn, they're knocked out by poison again. Charizard, however, lives with 10 HP, because it has 180 and not 170 like we're so used to seeing. And I played a Professor Juniper there, put more Fire Energy in the discard pile. I really wanted a double colorless energy right there to do Wing Attack, but it did not happen. Oh, I do have double colorless energy, I just don't know where to put it. I could attach it to Charizard and use Wing Attack. Oh, I also drew a Litleo. So there's a Pyroar in this deck. And Pyroar is really good to fall back on, especially against Michael's deck, because the only thing he has to counter Pyroar is Garbodor. And if I hit a Startling Megaphone or if I were to Lysander up the Garbodor and knock it out, he is screwed. So right there, I decide to wing attack, and I have 10 HP left, and after poison, he has 50 HP left. He's up to 160, or I'm sorry, 120, 2 sixes. So it's his turn, he drew, and things are really, really iffy here. If I were him, I'd try to go after Sableye. I think there's a Sableye in his... Yeah, there is. There's a Sableye in his hand. If I were him, I'd go after that, try to attach an energy to it, and Junk Hunt. Because Revenge only works if you're knocked out, if your active Pokemon was knocked out by an attack. And Poison is not an attack. So if I was knocked out by Poison in between turns, then... yeah. Then Revenge doesn't work. It only does 20. He benches the Sableye. He did a really long random receiver there. It took a while before he hit a supporter, but he hit in, and he's going to play in. And right now he just needs to hit an energy. Just one energy or a way to attach an energy to Sableye, and he's all good to go, and Junk Hunt. And even if he doesn't, then it's not too bad. I mean, he would be forced to either attack or pass for the turn. Either way, that is very unfortunate if it comes to that. He would much prefer to Junk Hunt for stuff he needs. So here come his 6 cards, and... ooh. Ouch, he did not get a Darkness Energy or a Dark Patch. He's just counting them there. There's 3 in his discard pile, 0 in his hand, 1 in play. So there's only 4 Darkness Energy out there. And that means there's got to be a whole lot in his deck, and he didn't get a single one. So he's just going to promote a Sableye and pass. Well, he's going to retreat as a Yveltal. But that's for free because of Darkrai Dark Cloak ability. So again, sorry for the glare, but that is a Sableye. And right now I'm trying to decide what to do. As you can see, I have the Pyroar right there. I'm fearing the Garbodor. Garbodor is a very big threat, but I'm just going to promote Litleo and evolve into Pyroar. There's really nothing for me to really worry about. I'm going to attach Muscle Band to Pyroar. And the great thing about Pyroar is it can attack. I have a Lysander in my hand, and so long as Michael doesn't end me... actually, cool. Actually, right here, I'm just going to use Pyroar's attack. It's called Scorching Fang, and knock out the Sableye. If I had been thinking, I really would have gone after the Trubbish, but I was just banking on the possibility that he did not have a Garbodor and a tool in his hand. But of course, as you can see, he does. And right here, he's just trying to decide what to promote. He temporarily promoted his Yveltal there, then his other one, then finally decided Keldeo because it has a Floatstone. So it's his turn. I took the first, I took my first prize, but it was the 3rd prize of the game. He already took 2 from his Charizard, knockout. He evolves into Garbodor, attaches a Floatstone. Now all of our abilities are shut down. Basically that means Darkrai's Dark Cloak, so Pokemon with Darkness Energy can no longer retreat for free. Keldeo can no longer rush in, and the big kicker, Pyroar, can be hit by basics. That's the big uh-oh for me. So he is going to Ultra Ball away, a Dowsing Machine, and an N. Basically the last 2 cards you ever want to Ultra Ball away in a game, just to see what all he has in his deck. And it looks like he doesn't have a single Pokemon left in there. So if he runs a 2-2 line of Trubbish and Garbodor, that means that both of those are prized. And if he doesn't, then I don't really know what he was going after. He has 3 Yveltals in play, and Keldeo and Darkrai and Garbodor. I don't really know what else you really want. Must have just been Ultra Balling just to see what was in there. Then you play Professor Juniper. Yeah, he's probably just seeing what was in there. Probably counting up his energy more like... he drew another Garbodor, which means, yeah, unfortunately, one of his Trubbishes are prized. And he missed another energy off that Juniper. So he basically drew 16 fresh cards in a row. I'm sorry, 14 in a row. No, 15 because of his extra draw for his turn. And he didn't hit a single Darkness Energy and all of that. Going through a whole quarter of your deck and missing a darkness energy is devastating. And he's just going to have to pass and hope I stay asleep, and I do not. That is very unfortunate. I'm still poisoned, but that's like the only thing that he can really hope for. I immediately Lysander out his Garbodor, and now if I choose to discard an energy from Pyroar, I'm knocking out that Garbodor. Garbodor has 100 HP. Scorching Fang, if I choose to discard a fire energy, does 90, plus 20 from the Muscle Band, will knock out that Garbodor. I'm tempted to attach that double colorless energy to Mewtwo, but I decided to do it to Druddigon just in case this Pyroar gets knocked out. I use Scorching Fang for 110, knock out the Garbodor, now we're tied on prizes. I am still poisoned, but I am in a very good position. Michael needs a Garbodor in order to do literally anything right now. I can... there's just no end to what I can do here. Of course, Yveltal can do stuff too. And right now, you'll notice that I am playing a Charizard deck, but I am not using Charizard. I am using Pyroar because Pyroar literally shuts down Michael's deck. There, he just passed, because there was literally nothing he could do. I get another Pyroar off my top deck, I play another Professor Juniper, get a fresh 7 cards. I can easily retreat into Pyroar and just leave it there. In fact, I may just do that. I have not seen a startling Megaphone from Michael, so I could safely play my tools, but I'd rather play a bit conservatively. I have not yet attached for my turn, so I could attach that fire energy, or I could use Fiery Torch for to draw more cards from my deck. But okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to manually retreat, which is something that I haven't done in a while. I'm so used to playing with decks that you can just retreat for free one way or another. I need to discard 2 energy cards from Pyroar to retreat, so I discarded both the fire energy. Now I have a fresh Pyroar that is not poisoned. There's really nothing Michael can do unless he plays another laser. And if he does, then he just has to pray that I stay asleep. I play a laser on my own. His Keldeo is asleep and poisoned, and that's the last thing he wants, because as long as Keldeo is asleep, he cannot retreat to get out of that poison, and he only plays 1 Keldeo. So he plays Lysander on the Pyroar. Basically, he has to waste his supporter this turn just to get something out of the prizes. He wakes up from his sleep going into my turn, but there's... Well, I could promote Druddigon here just to do revenge, even if it wouldn't do a lot of damage. But I'm just going to promote Pyroar, because I'd rather just have something there that can stall. And stalling is not a bad idea. And there I drew a Charizard off my top deck, attached a fire energy for turn, and blacksmith 2 more onto it. And after all is said and done, I don't even need to discard an energy. Keldeo is knocked out after the Muscle Band. So Scorching Fang did 60, plus 20 from Muscle Band, that's 80, plus another 30 from Poison. Keldeo's knocked out without me having to discard anything. And you could see feet at the top of the screen because people were getting really into watching our game. This was a really intense game. And even though I'm ahead of prizes, it's not by much. It's still 2 prizes to 3, a very, very close game. Michael could do a lot of stuff here. He could maybe play another laser, enough lasers to basically knock out my Pyroar. He's going to Pal Pad right here just to put some more supporters into his deck, maybe to end me out of my resources or something, or to Juniper himself into more. You know, just stuff. Or maybe he could even go for a Lysander and use that to get a Charizard or a Mewtwo or even the Druddigon. You know, something to get him prizes, because his last Trubbish is prized. And Trubbish is basically one of his only ways of winning this game. So he has stuff that he just put in there. He's going to Random Receiver. Top deck was the N. He could play in now. He has a Juniper in hand. He does have a Dark Patch, which he could probably use to... He could put it onto anything on the bench. He could probably put it to the Darkrai so he can start Night Spearing stuff. That might be another option for him. That's definitely an option. It's just Night Spearing and then sniping stuff on the bench. Even though it would take a while, it would eventually knock something out. The problem is Pyroar is powered up to attack. So Darkrai could not stay there forever. And I have not seen a max potion. I'm beginning to think Michael doesn't run it. He's contemplating right now where to dark patch that energy onto. He finally decided the Yveltal with an energy and muscle band already on, and finally played his in. So I'm going to get 2 cards and he's going to get 3. Basically, he's just hoping and praying right here. I think by this point I have the game. Missing those 2 turns, missing energy 2 turns in a row, that was a huge devastation. There was really nothing he really could have done about that. He drew a Dark Patch, a double colorless energy, and a muscle band. The Dark Patch might help him a little right here, but everything else is basically useless. He does have the energy attachment left for his turn, so he could attach the double colorless energy to something, but it would pretty much be useless against Pyroar. He's going to retreat his Yveltal and promote his other Yveltal, the one with nothing on it except for a double colorless energy, and pass. And it's my turn. I have another Blacksmith. I'm contemplating using that, or I think the other card in my hand is a Professor Juniper. And I'm just thinking, what do I want more? To power up Charizard or to get more cards in my hand? And I decided it's just better to get more cards in my hand. I'm in a pretty safe position. And I just got another Charizard. And I got the Reshiram EX full art, and none of the cards are staying on the table. And there we go, I have a full bench. If he played a Colress right now, that would be amazing. But I have not seen Colress. I have not seen any sign that he might play it. I play another Laser. And he put another poison counter on there because he's just so used to putting it on himself. And I can Scorching Fang here, or I could simply pass, but I'd rather get more damage on the board. That's the whole point, is to knock stuff out. Again, I'll point out that I am not using Charizards, even though I do have them in play now, and I believe I have a Blacksmith in hand just to power them up if I want to. I don't know how many double colorless energy are run in this particular deck, but I'm sure that there is maybe one more in the deck that I can get just to power up Charizard. And if not, then I can just attach cards manually until one is powered up. But right now I am in no rush. I'm in no worry at all of Pyroar being knocked out. I think I have the game. And Michael just used another Juniper there. He's down to a very small deck. And let's see. He got a whole lot of Darkness Energy, which are not as useful to him now as they used to be. He still has 3 prizes. I still have 2. He is at a disadvantage. He can still come back from this. You saw earlier, not too long ago, he just put a Darkness Energy onto Darkrai. He was about to attach one there to Yveltal, and then just decided he can just discard the double colorless energy and retreat manually. And he's just going to promote his Darkrai and pass. And here I realize if I hit a Lysander, I win the game. I just need a Lysander to bring up one of those Yveltal with damage on it, and I have the game. Of course, in order to hit the Lysander, I need to play a supporter right now. But I'm just going to save my resources. I'm going to Blacksmith onto the Charizard just to start prepping it up for something. And I do have an in my hand, but I don't think I want to help him in any way. I saw that after his particular Juniper, he didn't get anything. So I'm going to Scorching Fang for 80. No reason to discard more energy than I have to. He's just counting to see how many cards he has left. It's like 6 or 7. Or maybe a little more than that. But Juniper right now would put him down to an extremely small hand. I'm just looking at my discard pile now. I notice that I have 1 Lysander in there. And I know there's at least 2 in this deck. I at least know that much about this deck. So Michael is just contemplating, trying to decide, is there any way that he can win the game? And I'm just trying to think, okay, how do I hit a Lysander? I could top deck it. That would be by far the best thing to do. If I were to Juniper my hand away and hit it next turn, then I have the game for sure. But, maybe by that time, no matter what Michael does, I win because everything will have enough damage on it that I could just Scorching Fang for 110 and knock literally anything out. So he plays another Professor Juniper there. Now he has 2 cards left in his deck. What did he get off this? Oh, he got a Trubbish. That's amazing. He got the Trubbish, and I'm still awake after that laser. There's nothing he can do. He could, of course, retreat into the regular Yveltal, but I'm just going to keep putting damage on it. And in the end, he just decided, you know what? You won. So, as you saw right there, we shook hands, he conceded. So I hope you all enjoyed this awesome match, very close match, and I hope you all enjoyed seeing a Charizard deck in action. I know how much everyone loves Charizard, and this just goes to prove you can never be too sure. Anyway, I have tons more videos coming up. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more.